So this vintage 2011 was quite difficult because the weather was quite strange, very hot and dry at the beginning of spring and beginning of the summer. Finally, we have rains during August, so it was a little bit strange. But finally, with the good weather in September, we start the harvest quite early. We start the 21st of September. So it's quite early for Clos Fourtet. Normally we start end of September, beginning of October. We had quite a classical vintage, I think, with big tannins. We don't have this powerful we had in 2009, 2010, but big tannins and very fresh wine. So for me it's quite a classical vintage for Bordeaux style. We have to be very careful of the fermentation. The first fermentation, alcoholic fermentation, is quite easy because we start the fermentation quite early. And it's quite short fermentation, but I think the post-fermentation will be interesting because we need this post-fermentation to add fat to the wine, to have something more ground, and it would be very interesting to know exactly the good period, the right time to start the malolactic fermentation and to adjust exactly the percentage of barrels we'll need for that, etc., etc. And the maturation will be interesting also. But I think it's a quite technical vintage. So it's changed a little bit because we had quite a very easy vintage with 2009 and 2010. So this year it's quite difficult but very interesting. Of course, Clos Fourtet is special for this location. You can see we are just in front of the church of Saint-Emilion and at the top of the limestone plateau. This limestone plateau is very particular and very characteristic of Saint-Emilion. You can find big majority of the first growth of Saint-Emilion here. Around Clos Fourtet you have Ozone, you have Bel Air, you have just right there Canon, Beauséjour, Béco, and big majority of the first growth. That's why this limestone is very important. And we are at the top of the limestone. We are very high for Saint-Emilion. We are something like 90 meters high, but it's quite high for here. This limestone gives a lot of freshness and minerality to the wine, so it gives a lot to the vines outside because with this limestone you don't have very deep soil. You have the vines and directly after the limestone, and it's very interesting because the limestone is like a big sponge, and so it keeps the water when the vines needs to drink a little bit, but when it's too much, just keep the water. So it's very interesting for the vines. And after that, I think you have this touch, yes, of minerality, of freshness when you test the wine. And it's very important for us to keep this particularity when we are making the wine. We must keep this characteristic of Clos Fourtet. And the other little characteristic of Clos Fourtet is, yes, we are Clos, we are not Château. Because we have a little hole all around the vineyards, so it's like a Burgundy style with the hole all around the chateau. So yes, we are not a big estate, it's 20 hectares, but like a Burgundy estate, a small estate in front of the church. So it's very Saint-Emilion here, but with a touch of Burgundy, maybe with this Clos and this very characteristic soil of Saint-Emilion with the limestone. In fact, when we had bought this vineyard, my family 10 years ago, it was in 2001, we decided to keep the team here because it was very important for us to manage the estate with the same team. They know very well the vineyard, the cellar, etc., and the wines. We decided to start to work with Stéphane Dononcourt. He's a consultant. He's one of the best consultants here in Bordeaux. I think he managed something like 40 or 50 different vineyards in Bordeaux and around the world. He has this very good culture of the vine because he starts to making the harvest and after making the wine in a cellar and after, you know, step by step, and today is one of the best consultants of the world. And he has this very good touch because he knows the terroir, he knows the wines, and after that is the exterior of the chateau. It's very important to have something who comes from the exterior, and he can advise you very well because when he tests the grapes, for example, he had this testing in several different estates before that, so he knows better the image of the vintage, for example. And after, of course, because when we have bought the vineyard, everything was not perfect. We had to improve and improve and improve, and we wanted to improve the quality of Clos Fourtet. And immediately he decided to say, okay, we have to change this and this because today, if you want to make a great wine, one of the best wine of the world, you have to have for example, a new vat room. Today we have a new vat room. You have to change the sorting tables, so we change the sorting tables. So we have to try to make different with the quality of your grapes, so less quantity. He's a consultant, so we have our whole team for the vineyard, but he has a very good advice. So today we start with him 10 years ago, and it went very, very well to today, I think. A wine, you know, to be drink is important. It's very, you can make a wine, yes, you know, just for the tasting, something like, oh wow, it could be easy to make a wine, like a big wine, a powerful wine, but just fat and something not very fresh. Impressive for the tasting, but not when you want to drink. You have a dinner, you want to have a bottle, and you want to drink it. And we have the chance to have this particularity of the terroir. A wine with a structure very round at the beginning with the merlot, very, very, very rich with the flavor, red fruit, black fruit, and when you age a little bit your wine, this touch of spices, something like that. But when you have this big percentage of merlot, like here, 80 to 90% merlot, it helps a lot to have the limestone because we have this touch of freshness, and you balance your wine like that. You have this powerful merlot, very rich, very round, and after very sensual merlot, and after you have this little touch of cabernet just for the acidity to edge the wine, and after to balance perfectly, you have a good freshness with the limestone, with this touch of minerality. Something yes, I really wish to share is the location of Clos Fourtet, quite unique here in Saint-Emilion. Saint-Emilion is one of the beautifulest place in Bordeaux. It's a UNESCO site here in France, and it's very particular. And yes, we receive a lot of people for visit, for tour, and because we have just in front of Saint-Emilion, and everybody is very welcome here, and we have this very particular location I told you, and we have this very special caves with something like 10 to 12 hectares of caves. It's quite unusual here, and it's wonderful caves. Outside you have this view, the vines on the limestone, and after inside you have the limestone. You can visit the inside limestone with all the barrels, the maturation of the barrels, and all the old bottles of Clos Fourtet. So it's quite unique, and I welcome everybody here in Clos Fourtet. These caves are quite perfect for the wine, for the maturation. You have always the same temperature. It's around 13 degrees. The humidity is very high. It's 90% humidity. It's very important. And after that, we are quite lucky because these caves here for Clos Fourtet, we have very good air circulation. It helps a lot to keep the barrels here, because without this good circulation, you cannot put your barrels, and we can have the good maturation of the wine in barrels, and after we can keep all the bottles here, and we have all the bottles from 1950 to 2009 to today,